gorgeous individuals, it's Kav here, and today I'm going to be talking about ARU SHAH and the End of Time by Roshni Chakshi. ARU SHAH and the End of Time is a middle grade fantasy novel based off of Hindu mythology that follows the story of a 12-year-old girl, ARU SHAH, who finds out that she is a reincarnation of one of the 5 Pandava brothers, and after finding that out, she goes on a journey basically to save the world. I was lucky enough to receive an arc of this novel from my good friend who got it from the publisher. It's kind of a long story, but I was lucky enough to receive an arc of this novel, so of course I read it. It has been a novel I've been anticipating for so long. It was one of my 5 most anticipated reads of the year, so I really wanted to read it, so of course I did. It comes out on March 27th, and if you want to know all of the different reasons you need to get this book, then definitely sit back and watch this review. Reading this novel, I basically thought about how 12-year-old me might have had a very different experience had I had a novel like this in my life. If I had seen a book like this talking about me, about people like me, I may not have grown up ashamed of my heritage and my life, and it's something that still breaks my heart to this day that I ever even had those feelings. But society told me that being Indian and being Hindu was not good enough, and a book like this would have changed all of that for me. So what I'm most excited for is for the Indian and Hindu kids and teens who are going to read this book and realize that they are good enough and realize that their heritage is pretty cool, because it is. But outside of my personal relation to this novel and how this novel is a very important one, it's also just really good. From the writing to the characters to the plot to every other aspect of it, it is really good. So let's kick it off with the characters. Our main character, ARU SHAH, is a 12-year-old girl who lies a lot. And I really like that. I like the intricate details Roshni wove into all of the characters in this novel. Aru isn't necessarily our classic heroine. She is different. She's not like a morally gray character. She is definitely without a doubt good, but as she's 12, her priorities aren't necessarily straight, so whereas at her core she is a good person, sometimes she doesn't go about it the right way because, like I said, she lies a lot and such. You know, being 12, her main priority growing up was just to impress the popular people in her class, and because of her wish to do that, she essentially starts the chaos that takes us on the journey in this book. And I like that. I like that she was a different protagonist than we really get to see, because she's still good, but she's good in a different way. And then we have another primary character, Mini. She is part Indian and part Filipina, while Aru is all Indian. Mini is much more of a classic heroine, but despite that, she still has all of these intricate details woven into her as well. She is the type of person who basically thinks about how anything and everything can kill you. Touching that bookshelf can give you germs that could make you die. That's kind of the type of person she is. Part of that is because of how much she wants to go into medicine. That's her ultimate goal, and it was nice to see that difference, because Aru never really talks about who she wants to be or what she wants to do, but Mini has this clear set idea of what she wants the rest of her life to be. And she's also really smart. She's a hella smart character, much more book smart, while Aru is kind of more street smart. So the dynamics between the two of them were great, and they are basically soul sisters, which is what they have referred to each other as through the book. Because of them going on this journey together and because of them essentially being sisters, what we get to see in this novel is girls supporting girls. And as you all know, that's something that I love. I love seeing girls supporting girls, and that is what we see so much in this novel. Throughout the novel, it is the two of them fighting together. They're not going at each other, they're fighting together, and they are a team, and I love that. And I love the friendship that forms between them, because they get brought together by all these chaotic circumstances, but then they end up being this incredible team, and I love it. And then we have many other supporting characters. We have Boo, who is essentially their pigeon guardian. Then we have Urvashi and Hanuman, who are part of a council that they have to kind of meet to prove they are reincarnations of the 5 Pandava brothers. And we have all these other supporting characters. Some are good, some are more in line with the villain. All of them had their own tone to them. All of them had their own personality, and that really showed through the book. So it was obvious that she took the time to really make them each their own. Even the characters they were only interacting with for 1 chapter, even those characters had their own personality and their own characteristics. So every character was different and every character was themselves, and that was one of the best aspects of this book. And then of course there is the plot of this novel, which is a huge part of it, and I loved the plot in this novel. Obviously I can't go too in depth with it as this is a spoiler-free review, but one of the things that I think really contributed to how much I loved the plot was the pacing, and that's not something I talk about in my reviews a lot, but it's something I noticed reading this book. It was paced very, very well, and because of that, the plot played out well. The timeline of this novel is done super well. We really get to see them go on their journey, and they have to make all of these different stops along the way in order to reach their goal of kind of defeating the ultimate antagonist of this book. And all those different stops they make, like I said, they're paced well. They have enough action in them, but there are enough breaks between them, so I really think that the reader gets a good sense of their journey and really gets to go on this journey with them. And because of how the pacing is done, it makes the journey so much fun to go on. And speaking of that, all the different stops they do have to make, and the plot itself, it's also good. I love the different stops they had to make because, like I said, I think those contributed great action sequences to the book. They contributed high-end adventure and such, but then there were also the breaks in between, and there was also some funny scenes in the book. Like, because of the dynamics between the characters and such, there were some really great lines thrown out that made the book funny in a way. So everything just played out really well throughout the course of the book, which is something I loved. And of course, writing-wise, I enjoyed it. I do think that the dialogue was done really well. In terms of descriptions, I don't have too many positives or complaints, but that in itself is a good thing because oftentimes with the descriptions I do find things lacking, but obviously I didn't find that here, so I think that in itself is a good thing. And like I said, the dialogue, because of how each character had their own personality, and like I mentioned, the funny lines that were thrown from character to character, I think that the dialogue was done really well in this book. And going back to plot for a quick minute, I loved the way Hindu mythology was incorporated in this book. It was so nice to read that, to see a story that resonated with me, and I think that this would be a good read for both Hindu readers and for non-Hindu readers, because for me as a Hindu reader, it was nice to see kind of my culture represented in this. Hinduism is a religion, but I'm not necessarily a religious person. I consider myself a Hindu more by culture, so that's why I'm referring to it as my culture as opposed to my religion. But I also think for non-Hindu readers, it can be a nice glimpse of something that may not affect your personal life. So yeah, the mythology, it was incorporated really well, and I loved how that played into the plot and into the fantasy aspects of this novel. So it was just a really fun read all around. I mean, I have been anticipating this novel for so long. Literally with every bone in my body, I have wanted this novel, and I almost cried when this book was announced. So I have built my expectations up very high for this novel, and I can say with full certainty it did not disappoint. It exceeded those expectations. Those are all my thoughts on ARU SHAH and the End of Time. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe because that stuff makes me happy. And go ahead and comment down below whether or not you are going to be picking up this book when it comes out on March 27th, and I will leave links to where you can pre-order it in the description below, as well as my Goodreads review of this novel. As usual, all of my social media and my Goodreads will be in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are. Please remember, you're beautiful and you deserve the world, and I will see you soon for a brand new video. Goodbye!